Well, we're joined by Sebastian Gorka now, who's a deputy assistant to President Trump from within the team there. Very good evening to you. Do you think his press conference was a bit unhinged, Mr. Gorka?
I think it's pathetic that the BBC would use words of that nature and also the adjective weird. It's only weird to journalists like yourself who are biased. I mean, Brian Stelter is your authority. This is a man who on CNN by his own media colleague, Michael Wolff, was called ridiculous for his obsession for attacking President Trump. This is a man who I'd ask your viewers to just Google Brian Stelter, fake news Delta Airlines, who propagates himself absurdity on the media.
Okay.
So, no, it was a fabulous press conference.
Right. Can I just ask you a couple of factual questions? For his initial words, which went on quite a few minutes, his opening statement, had he made notes on that and prepared that, or did he just go in and busk it?
He's fabulous on his feet, so he doesn't need to. If you watch his campaign rallies, this is the man who in any one day would go to 9 different sites, sometimes in 4 different states. He doesn't need an auto cue. He revels in this. Right. And what we saw today was the old Donald Trump from the campaign trail, and it was fabulous.
And did he game some of the questions with his team? Did he sit there saying, now what questions are we going to get? What's the answer? Or did he literally just said, I'm going to go out there, confront these guys and give them hell?
No, the president doesn't need to, but of course he has a whole press team. We have amazing people here that write talking points. Believe it or not, I have talking points for this interview. I don't need to use them, but we have a team that writes them.
Right. Now, look, there was this moment in there where he made this claim, completely false claim, about his electoral college win was the biggest since Reagan, and then turned out that Clinton, Bush and Obama all had bigger electoral college wins. I guess I'm interested in how some mistake like that creeps in, because this is a man, President Trump, who looks carefully at these things. What was going on there? What do you think was going on there when he made that mistake?
I think you're getting a little bit obsessive yourself. If you actually listen to the tape that you just played, he said, I guess I had the largest. It wasn't an unequivocal statement of fact. The bottom line is he trounced Hillary Clinton, and it was organizations like CNN, the New York Times, and even the BBC who said, Clinton is a shoo-in. The Huffington Post said she had a 92% chance of winning. That's fake news, and the BBC shouldn't be a hostage to it.
Mr. Gorka, what is really striking is, and it was striking in the press conference as well, that there's a sort of tendency to leap back to the election campaign, to bang on about Hillary Clinton and her weaknesses, the way that you've just gone on about the way pundits got the election wrong. Does President Trump realize he won the election, he got fewer votes, he won the election, he is the president now, for goodness sake. He doesn't have to keep banging on about Hillary Clinton. He's the president. It looks almost narcissistic, almost a bit childish to be talking the way he does in campaign mode when he's the leader of the free world.
Only to journalists who don't like him and have an agenda. Is he looking back? My gosh, I've been in this position for less than a month. We've done more work in 1 month than the prior administration did in 6 months. I mean, the number of things we have achieved, whether it's today with the coal miners pushing back on the anti-coal mining policies of the administration, whether it's the immigration reform, whether it's the modernization of infrastructure planning that we've released. It is incredible the amount of work we've already done, and to say that we're basking in a former glory, please be a little bit more factual yourselves, because otherwise you'll be accused of fake news as well.
So you agree with President Trump that his White House is a fine-tuned machine and is operating well?
Let me tell you one thing. I've never worked at this rarefied strategic level before. I'm a political appointee. I'm a commissioned official of the president's. It is incredible. I come into work every morning at 7 o'clock. I open the newspapers, and I can tell you that when I read a story that bears absolutely no resemblance to the issue I was involved in, I was in the room the day before when it was being settled, 8 out of 9 times it's fabricated, and all of these anonymous sources. I'm sad to say that you and your colleagues have fallen into this trap of fake news.
No, it's not fake news. We're trying to understand what is going on there. We're not making factual claims a lot of the time. We're asking questions that you don't like. Look, Michael Flynn...
No, not at all. You can ask away.
Right,
ask away.
Well, Why did Donald Trump say on Friday that he knew nothing about Michael Flynn, having spoken to the Russians about sanctions while he was president-elect? Why did he say that on Friday? And then on Monday, we learned that President Trump had known about it for more than a couple of weeks.
You're obsessing on issues that aren't the point.
I'm asking a perfectly simple question.
No,
I'm not obsessing on it. I've asked it once.
It is.
I'm asking it once. Why did he say, I know nothing about that? And then on Monday we hear he had known about it for 2 weeks. Why did he say that? It's a fine-tuned machine. You've said it yourself.
I said the White House is working as a fine-tuned machine, and it is. Your question was about this representation of there being a maelstrom in the White House, and I answered it factually based upon my experience. There isn't any disorder, any chaos. Some people in the media would like there to be, but there isn't.
Okay.
I'm inside the building, I can tell you. Now, what the president knew when, please ask him when you have an opportunity. I'm sure you have a BBC correspondent in the press room. I wasn't in that meeting with General Flynn. Okay.
Let me ask you one about foreign policy, because I know that's a particular interest of yours. This is a fine-tuned machine, you say. Yesterday, the president said, you know, he's open-minded on different solutions to the issue of Israel and Palestine. Today, Nikki Haley, your ambassador at the UN, clarified to colleagues and other members there that the two-state policy remains the US objective. Why is there this constant confusion in which the president sort of speaks, someone then has to go around with a bucket and a shovel, picking up the pieces, trying to clarify to the allies around the world as to what is going on?
Your representation is just wishful thinking. If you didn't have an agenda-driven question list, it would be so much easier to have a better relationship with you. I mean, the bottom line is read the transcript. Read the transcript of what the president said after the meeting with the prime minister. It was unequivocal. We remain committed to our ally Israel, and any solution will have to be a solution that both sides come to. We're not going to intervene. So you need to stick to the facts.
Yeah, no, but I suppose the fact is, other people, not just me, other people were deeply confused and reported, not because they have an agenda, that there was a change in US policy. Nikki Haley felt it necessary, as your ambassador to the UN, to clarify. Now, why are these kinds of mistakes being made? Just before you answer that, another one today. Rex Tillerson was in a meeting with the French foreign minister. Afterwards, the French, by the way, who thinks the policy is worrying and confused, said they thought your policy was to tear up the Iran deal or to look again at the Iran nuclear deal. Rex Tillerson had to say, no, I didn't say that. It just gives a complete picture of utter shambles in which people are constantly having to correct or misstatements or things that have been misunderstood. Is it everybody else's fault, never your own?
No, not at all. It's just there is an agenda-driven distortion. I mean, come on, this is a media, mainstream media, that has accused us in the White House of being anti-Semitic and white supremacists. I mean, this is how bad it is. This is a White House where Jared Kushner, an Orthodox Jew, is key to the decision-making process, and you have the audacity as the mainstream media to talk about anti-Semitism. Right. That's why you want to spin it, and we're not going to stand for it. Just
tell me where the BBC, CNN, or the New York Times have, as a fact, said this is an anti-Semitic regime.
Look at the response to the Holocaust Memorial Statement. I ask your viewers to Google it now.
Right. That's quite different to saying, anti-Semitic.
Not at all.
It's quite different to saying.
That's what the response was. That for some anti-Semitic reason, we didn't explicitly use the word the Jewish Holocaust. It's absurd. It's absurd.
When the president says he hates the press, it's out of control. Wait. I never said anything on those terms. I don't want to get drawn into a textual argument about that.
God forbid you'd agree.
I don't know.
Yes, go ahead.
When the president says the press is out of control, when you stand there and basically, for most of your answers, just say we have an agenda, we're fake news, we're trying to pull you down.
And prove it.
When you say that,
you're using Brian Stelter as a
Can I just
paragon.
ask, is it the case you plan no action against the press? The press will carry on and do its job and be allowed to do its job exactly as it always has? Or are there measures you're intending to take? I'm just asking if there are measures.
I mean, this is fake news.
No, it's not news at all. I've asked the question.
Fake news. Okay. You are implying that there's some dread intent.
I'm asking because the president.
What are you positing? What are you positing?
I'm asking if the president has any actions in mind. He said today it is out of control. We need to talk about this. And he hinted that he wasn't going to put up with it. Now, that might mean something as innocuous as I'm going to communicate with everybody via Twitter, or it might mean I'm going to think about other things I can do. Is it the latter or is it the former?
All it means is that we are going to continue to do what we did so very, very successfully, and the thing that put the former real estate billionaire into the White House, and which is to break your sense of monopoly on the news. The mainstream media no longer gets to monopolize news, and we are going to go straight to the audiences, whether it's through Twitter, whether it's through YouTube, it doesn't matter. We are not going to put up with distortions and people who believe they have a monopoly on the truth simply because they have 60 years of a letterhead above them. Not going to happen. We're going to communicate with our audiences, domestic and international. That's all the president meant.
That's what he meant. Sebastian Gorka, nice talking to you. And we don't like being quite so much the centre of attention. Thank you very much indeed. Thanks.